The story begins with a newlywed couple whose car suddenly breaks down on their way home. The husband crawls under the car to fix it and asks his wife to find a wrench and pass it to him. At the same time, a van approaches from behind. The driver's looking down, trying to pick up a cigarette near his feet, so he does not notice the car stopped in the middle of the road. When he finally looks up, it is already too late. The crash happens in an instant. After some time, the husband regains consciousness. One of his hands is trapped under the tire, leaving him unable to move. His wife is pinned between the two vehicles. She is pregnant, and the impact has left her badly injured and covered in blood. She can only look at her stomach in shock and pain, but the pain becomes too much, and she passes out before she can fully understand what has happened. 29 years later, a traveling rock singer named Danny stops at a small diner. There she notices a waitress named Caitlin being bothered by a large man. The man gives a strange apology before leaving, but Caitlin clearly does not accept it. While serving Danny, Caitlin talks about how she envies Danny's life. Danny can travel freely, while she feels stuck. Caitlin once trained in gymnastics and dreamed of performing on stage, but now she works as a waitress. Seeing how free Danny is makes Caitlin want a different life even more. When Caitlin serves the coffee, their hands accidentally touch. The moment feels awkward, but there is also a sense of attraction. After that, Danny keeps thinking about her. Not long after, Danny returns to the town. Caitlin then asks if she can leave with her, but before they can make it happen, the same man appears again, as if he has been watching her. The next day, Danny comes back and decides to take Caitlin with her. It turns out the man is Caitlin's husband, Daryl, who has just been released from prison and looks rough. Caitlin has wanted to escape from him for a long time, and this time she finally does. But without them knowing, Daryl has already hired someone to follow Danny's car. During the trip, Caitlin has no idea they are being followed. She even throws away her phone because Daryl keeps harassing her. After spending a few days with Danny, Caitlin slowly begins to feel something different between them. Then one night during a storm, they can no longer hold back those feelings and grow closer. Suddenly, a terrifying masked man appears. Just as quickly, he disappears, leaving them confused and unsure if what they saw was real. They decide to leave, but the car will not start. That is when they realize someone has deliberately sabotaged it. They prepare themselves and call the police. But while the call is connected, they notice a figure behind the car. The masked man is real. Danny is suddenly dragged out by him. As he is about to attack, Caitlin tries to help, but she is pushed aside and knocked unconscious. The man then turns toward Caitlin, but before anything worse happens, Danny fights back again. As police sirens begin to approach, the masked man suddenly disappears. Danny believes they are finally safe. A sheriff arrives and seems trustworthy at first. He helps Caitlin and tries to understand what happened. Danny is still in shock and cannot respond clearly. In that moment, she acts on impulse and kisses Caitlin. The sheriff says he will call an ambulance and get something to help. But when he returns, he brings a syringe filled with an unknown liquid. He claims it is to calm Danny, then injects her immediately. Once Danny loses consciousness, the truth is revealed. The sheriff is working with the masked man. Not long after, Danny and Caitlin wake up tied inside a closed attic. Their hands are chained and their mouths are gagged. A ring has been placed on Caitlin's finger, and a locked device is attached to her body. They have no idea what is happening and try to free themselves. This is straight on till morning.
I never should have gone with you!
Before they can do anything, a man with a gun enters. It is the same sheriff. He removes Caitlin's chains, takes her downstairs, and ties her to a table. Soon after, a woman in a wheelchair appears. She makes it clear that Caitlin must cooperate if she wants the gag removed. With no real choice, Caitlin complies. But what the woman says next makes things even more disturbing. Caitlin does not fully understand her intentions, so she chooses to stay cautious. When questioned, she lies. She claims to be an orphan and says she has known Danny since high school. At the same time, in the attic, Danny is being threatened by a man named Ruben, who presses a gun to her head. She is forced to answer the same questions. Terrified, Danny admits that she has only just met Caitlin. The next question makes the situation worse. The truth about Danny's feelings is exposed, and Ruben and the woman, Lily, see it as a sin. They demand that she change. When Lily finds out that Caitlin has a husband, she becomes pleased and starts planning to pair Caitlin with her son Virgil. That is when Caitlin realizes the truth. They are all part of the same family and something is deeply wrong with them. Virgil then pricks Caitlin's finger with a rose thorn and tastes her blood. Lily watches and praises him, as if nothing is wrong. Caitlin is too afraid to fight back and can only endure it. Then suddenly the doorbell rings. Since no one is expected, Lily quickly orders Virgil to take Caitlin down to the basement to hide. The basement is nothing like a normal room. It is dark, damp, and filled with iron bars, as if it was built to hold prisoners. In one corner there are candles, and in the center there is a wedding photo of a couple. When Caitlin looks closer, she realizes it is the same couple from the car accident at the beginning. Nearby there are piles of crosses and human remains. It is clear that many people have died there. At that moment, Caitlin fully understands how dangerous this family is, and she starts looking for a way to escape from Virgil. Then she hears a familiar voice from upstairs. It is Daryl, who has come looking for her. He tries to call her, but every attempt goes to voicemail since she threw her phone away. Using a tracker on Danny's car, Daryl manages to find the house. Since he knows it belongs to a sheriff, he does not suspect anything. After being told that they do not know where Caitlin is, he leaves feeling defeated. Back in the attic, Danny sees Daryl and desperately tries to remove the gag, struggling to call out to him. Daryl briefly hears something, but Lily is already prepared. When Daryl comes back inside holding a gun toward Ruben, he instead finds Caitlin being held hostage.
Drop your gun!
Hey, bro, what the hell?
Release Ruben or I will
Shut the fuck up!
Lily points a shotgun at Caitlin's head, forcing him to stop. Danny and Caitlin hear everything, but they cannot do anything to help. Their situation feels even more hopeless. Even so, Caitlin forces herself to stay calm. Quietly, she takes a thin wire from a rose stem, hoping she can use it to unlock the restraints. Before she can act, Virgil suddenly comes in and behaves aggressively. He tries to remove the device on Caitlin by force while acting inappropriately. Ruben and Lily step in and stop him, telling him this is not the right time. Ruben then injects him with a sedative until he falls asleep. After that, Caitlin is taken back to the attic and locked up again. Danny feels guilty, believing Caitlin lost her husband because of her. They release their emotions for a moment, but quickly realize they need to stay focused if they want to survive. Later that night, around 11, when everything is quiet and the family seems asleep, they decide to escape. Caitlin uses the wire she hid earlier and manages to unlock their restraints. She also removes the ring on her finger, which is too small, likely something Lily wore years ago. Danny then uses the diamond on the ring to loosen the bolts holding the window bars. Jumping straight down would be too risky, so Caitlin chooses to climb down from the second-floor balcony using her gymnastic skills. She goes down first while Danny holds the chain to support her. After reaching the second floor, Caitlin notices the attic door is locked from the outside. She tries to open it but cannot. Then she hears Ruben and Lily approaching. With no time left, she quickly hides inside a nearby room. Unfortunately, it turns out to be their bedroom. Thinking fast, Caitlin grabs a hammer for protection and hides under the bed. Ruben and Lily walk into the room without realizing Caitlin is hiding there. They continue talking about what happened earlier. To them, Virgil only lost control because he was trying to protect the family. They even plan to lock him up for the night as punishment, hoping he will be forgiven. Caitlin does not understand what they mean when they mention the tower, but everything they say sounds disturbing. They talk about how Virgil has not been with a woman for 2 years, and how they see Caitlin as the answer to their prayers. Hearing all of this, Caitlin becomes even more afraid. She realizes they are not only trying to force her to marry Virgil, but are also keeping Danny as a backup. While she is thinking about what to do, Ruben and Lily begin acting inappropriately with each other. There is a rope under the bed, and Caitlin slowly pushes it out, hoping Ruben does not notice. Lily briefly reminds him to be quieter, showing that their behavior is far from normal. This is not about building a loving family, but about fulfilling their son's twisted desires. At the same time, Danny hears movement from upstairs and tries to climb out through the window to help. But as she moves down the chain, she sees Ruben bringing Caitlin back to the attic. Fear takes over, and she stops immediately. Not long after, Caitlin manages to fight back. She hits Ruben hard enough to knock him unconscious, then locks the attic door and prepares to go down to find Danny. When Ruben does not return for a while, Lily starts to grow suspicious. She moves through the house in her wheelchair, calling out for him. At first, she thinks he is ignoring her. Even so, she goes downstairs trying to maintain control over the situation. It becomes clear that their relationship is tense and unhealthy. While hiding, Caitlin hears their argument, but she stays focused on escaping. She takes her chance, slips away, and finds Danny lying in the yard. Danny is still alive, but her leg is broken from the fall. To keep her from making noise, Caitlin quickly covers her mouth. Then she helps her move toward the exit as carefully as possible. They move slowly, but Caitlin suggests using a car. She tells Danny to wait while she runs to the nearby police vehicle. She cannot find the keys, but the radio still works. Hoping for help, Caitlin tries to call for assistance. But the moment someone answers, she immediately feels something is wrong. She recognizes the voice. It is Lily, pretending to be an officer. That is when Caitlin realizes their earlier emergency call was never real. It had already been intercepted. She drops the radio and runs toward a repair shed, hoping to find the car keys there. Inside the shed, Caitlin sees piles of car parts, cut wires, and license plates from different places. She also finds photos showing Virgil with past brides, all wearing disturbing masks. At that moment, she begins to understand why she was taken. As she grabs a set of keys, she turns around and sees Daryl's body being destroyed inside a large container. Before she can react, Virgil suddenly attacks her from behind. Caitlin then realizes that this place is what they called the Tower. Virgil is chained to a cross as punishment for what he did earlier. But when he sees her, his behavior changes. He drops to his knees almost as if asking for forgiveness. Remembering what Lily and Ruben said, Caitlin pretends to forgive him to keep him calm. The moment he lets his guard down, she takes the chance and escapes. At the same time, Lily begins to sense that something is wrong and heads up to the attic. There she finds Ruben unconscious. Meanwhile, Caitlin has already brought Danny to the police car. She tries every key she found until one finally works. But there is another problem. The car uses a manual transmission. Danny knows how to drive, but with her injured leg, she cannot press the pedals. So she quickly tries to teach Caitlin how to drive instead. As a beginner, Caitlin struggles to get it right. Before they can escape, Ruben regains consciousness and catches them again. This time, he tightly secures the attic windows and forces the ring back onto Caitlin's finger. Lily takes Danny to the bathroom for punishment. But since Danny is still considered useful, her injured leg is fitted with a wooden support. To make sure they do not try to escape again, Ruben injects both of them with a small dose of sedative. The next morning, the family acts as if nothing happened. They invite Danny and Caitlin to breakfast and treat everything like it is normal. They now see Caitlin as Virgil's wife and ask her to lead the prayer. Nervous, Caitlin tries to go along with it, but Virgil forces her to eat. Lily shows no concern for Caitlin's condition. Instead, she talks about her past, about how she and Ruben survived a car accident after getting married, yet were still able to have Virgil. She sees it as a blessing and believes Caitlin will experience the same thing. Danny finally loses her patience and flips the table. Ruben reacts immediately, pressing down on Danny's injured leg and forcing her to submit. Even then, Danny refuses to show fear. Seeing that, Ruben turns his attention to Caitlin and threatens her with hot oil. Lily tries to stop him, but she is struck instead. Virgil attempts to defend Caitlin, but Ruben shuts him down, insisting that a man must control his partner. Then Ruben gives Danny a cruel choice: save herself or save Caitlin. When Danny sees Caitlin about to be hurt, she chooses to sacrifice herself. She is forced to keep wearing the lock device, which will only be removed after the ceremony. The dress she is made to wear belongs to Lily, still marked with old stains from the accident years ago. But to Lily, that dress represents something meaningful. She believes that one day, Caitlin will wear it again while carrying a child. Seeing Lily looking so pleased, Caitlin suddenly questions Ruben about why he hurts her. The question shifts the mood and reveals that Ruben has been abusing her for a long time. It also touches something deeper in Lily, but instead of answering, she simply turns back to Caitlin. Realizing she will not get anything from it, Caitlin stops pushing. She is then forced to wear a mask in the wedding dress and is made to walk downstairs to marry Virgil. The ceremony begins, with Danny made to play music. Despite everything, both of them already understand their feelings for each other. Even in this situation, they keep looking at one another. When the ceremony is completed, they quietly choose each other in their own way. After that, Caitlin is taken upstairs by Virgil for what the family calls their honeymoon, with the expectation that she will become pregnant. Danny is left downstairs to continue playing, but neither of them has given up. When Virgil starts to lose focus and Lily and Ruben are no longer paying close attention, Danny stops playing. She quietly moves her wheelchair closer to the stairs, hides herself, and pulls out the wooden support from her injured leg. When Ruben comes downstairs to check on things, Danny attacks him. She strikes his neck repeatedly with a wooden piece until he stops moving. After that, Danny takes his gun and slowly heads upstairs to face Virgil. but the gun turns out to be empty. Even so, Virgil is not very sharp, shaped by a life surrounded by violence and a warped mindset. Working together, Danny and Caitlin find their chance to fight back. Once free, Caitlin attacks Virgil, kicking him again and again. But he is tough and does not go down easily. Then Lily arrives and makes things worse. She hits Caitlin's shoulder with a hammer and orders Danny to restrain her, while she tries to calm Virgil. But without needing words, Danny and Caitlin understand each other. Instead of turning on one another, they decide to run. They try to escape the room, but the front door is locked. Before they can find another way out, Virgil comes after them again, swinging a chain. To get away, they end up falling into the basement filled with bones. As terrifying as it is, the space gives them cover and a chance to survive. Caitlin uses the metal bars to avoid his attacks. Then at the right moment, she wraps the chain around Virgil's neck and pulls with all her strength until he finally collapses. Now only Lily is left. She enters the basement with a weapon, but when she sees her husband and son are gone, she breaks down. In that moment, Danny and Caitlin take their chance to escape. They run outside and find a car parked nearby. With no time to think, Danny wedges a pan against the gas pedal to keep the car moving, and they manage to start it. Behind them, Lily chases in her wheelchair, firing at them as she tries to stop them. But she cannot catch them. She is hit by the vehicle once again, and this time it ends everything. Danny and Caitlin finally leave that place. They are both injured, and Caitlin even passes out briefly from the impact, but they survive. Out on an empty road, far away from everything, they hold each other tightly. They throw away the wedding ring. Then they keep going until morning. So the moral of the story is if your car breaks down, your love life suddenly improves, and a random sheriff offers you a calming injection, just run and never trust anyone with a family that collects brides like it's a hobby.